It's nearly 8 p.m. on a winter night, and yet it still feels like daytime here in the middle of Times Square. There's a love-hate relationship with this iconic crossing. Most New Yorkers love it, a lot of New Yorkers really hate it. However, I think it's worth visiting this location because there's so much interesting history lurking right underneath. Amidst all the lights, the glitz and the glamour, and the hundreds of thousands of people from all around the world coming to this very crossing, a lot of dark secrets lurk right underneath. I'm Ariel with Urbanist, and today we're going to walk through Times Square's history in 30 minutes or less. Let's walk around. Cue the Broadway show tunes, the home of Broadway musicals, theater, really extravagant outdoor shows by artists. This is Times Square. It used to be grit and grime, but now it's glitz and glamour. And we're gonna find out why it made that transition with our very first stop. Here is Knickerbocker Hotel, right here in the corner. And this was the very first marker of the new era for New York. Because in 1901, John Jacob Astor IV took a big risk. Times Square was beyond the outskirts of the city. The city really only extended up to 34th Street. And it was only just beginning to extend up to 34th Street. But John Jacob Astor had a feeling this would become the new hub because the subway was going to be built in 1904. And thus, by the time the hotel opened in 1905, it had a very special perk. A very special perk that we had to walk inside the New York City subway in order to find it out. Let's check it out for our second stop as we wait to cross. Now, yes, Times Square could be packed to the brim with people. It can be hectic, but I recommend if you're coming here, just embrace that madness, that wild rush of people. I think it's worth it to just enjoy it, especially as we uncover these secrets that lie right underneath. Let's step into the subway. Here we have the steam from the hot dog vendors. First time swipe? Oh yeah. Times Square subway was the marker of a new system that will interconnect the entire city together. Built in 1904, they decided to make this the hub. Actually, before we venture too fast, always look up in New York City because in 2002 they installed a Roy Lichtenstein mural. Always look up in New York City. But that's not our main stop today. For this, we have to continue down, and in order to see this remnant of New York City history, we have to go all the way to the shuttle track. The shuttle connects Times Square with Grand Central Terminal. It's also on 42nd Street. It's only a one-stop train. However, make a turn here on the very first track. And right down here, I hope we can get a peek because they're doing construction. Oh, we can't, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. So the thing is with New York City is that there's construction happening all the time. And sometimes one day you can come here and see something open to the public and the next day it's covered by construction. However, I'll post a photo right next to here so you can get a sense of what is this door. And hopefully when they finish construction, you'll be able to see it again. However, fret not, because there's many more secrets to cover. Let's continue up backstairs. Actually, maybe we will be able to take a peek. It won't be visible, but to explain what the thing was, it was a doorway. The perk was a direct connection to the New York City subway system. Right now, it's completely covered by construction. But that is currently the doorway behind it. Hopefully they keep it there. Crossing fingers. Now let's exit right back outside. Through the subway, down towards the 1, 2, 3 trains. So we're going to take the exit that's right by here. Now the subway station snakes all the way underneath Times Square, connecting 7th Avenue, Broadway, towards 8th Avenue. Before it was 2 separate train lines, but they united them afterwards. Here's the 1, 2, 3 train. Leads to Brooklyn. We're going to exit right through here. Now, subway was a huge game changer for New York because of the subway system, New York finally was united across its new boroughs of Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx. Before, in order to get around New York City, you would have to take the elevated railroads. And there was an elevated railroad right next to here at 6th Avenue. However, they were impeding on growth of the city, making the city dark, cavernous, smoky. And city officials wanted to figure out a way to make it go underground. Hence the subway, which promised to go from Midtown to Harlem in less than 30 minutes. They were exaggerating a little bit in their original advertisements, but the point is that you could travel around the city very easily. Now, Times Square used to be very different in the 1970s. Here on 42nd Street, where we just exited right by the new Amsterdam Theater, which is our next stop, this was filled with adult movie theaters from one end to the other. The first one was actually built here at the new Victory Theater. It used to be just called the Victory Theater, and it was the most notorious one. But we're not talking about too much about that era of Times Square. Let's go a little bit further back to the most beautiful woman in New York in 1917. She just was hired to become a Ziegfeld Folly girl. Now, the Ziegfeld Follies were the first ever major production of vaudeville here in Times Square. That girl was Olive Thomas, and she was the starlet of this show. They often would either have shows in the theater, or if it was summer, they had a theater right in the rooftop. The Ziegfeld Follies were audacious, extravagant, and very hedonistic. At the second show, which would frequently take place in the rooftop, they would even go full frontal. However, Olive Thomas was a woman destined for much greater things due to her beauty and her skills in front of a crowd. Florence Ziegfeld took a great liking to her. So much so that he continued featuring her in almost all of the shows. Olive Thomas ended up having a massive love affair with Jack Pickford. Jack Pickford is the brother of Mary Pickford, and he was also a star in his own right, beginning to break onto the scene of cinema. Movies started hitting mainstream, and Mary Pickford was the sister of Jack Pickford, the biggest silent movie star of her era. It was the turn for Olive Thomas, and Olive Thomas became huge. Huge overnight, but she wasn't the best actress, so most movie directors did not really want to hire her. Let's zoom forward. About 20 years ago, late 1990s, as Disney started buying up all these theaters, including the New Amsterdam, setting up their theater offices right above the New Amsterdam Theater in the building. One day, one of the main guys, people who run the theater, got a call from a security guard around 2 a.m. The security guard was spooked because as he was looking around the theater, making sure that no one has stuck around, points his flashlight. As he points his flashlight towards the front of the theater, he sees someone. A woman in a white sequin dress with a green sachet right above her. She walks and he tries to shine the flashlight on her, can't see her, and then as he tries to shine the flashlight one more time, he catches a glimpse of her as she walks, blows a kiss towards him, and walks through the wall. He had no idea what he just saw. He couldn't confirm that it wasn't actually a real woman. The guy who runs the theater came over, and as he was trying to get more answers from him, he saw a photo of Olive Thomas. He was spooked because that was the woman in question. Let's see if we can get a peek of how the... Wow. So here in the theater, they have like a portrait of Olive Thomas, but we can't see it here, not too much, maybe here on the side. So since there is theater coming in, there's a photo of Olive Thomas right inside the theater. And following many other instances of Olive Thomas blowing kisses to male security guards, files and costumes and other trinkets were fluttering about at random times at night. And then one day, while the major producers of the Disney Theater Company were having a meeting, a huge stack of papers went flying across the room. They were spooked as well. However, why was Olive Thomas haunting the New Amsterdam Theater? As we walk to our third stop, let's talk a little bit more about that. Olive Thomas ended up marrying Jack Pickford, having a torrid love affair with him, and they decided to have a honeymoon out in Paris. Their relationship was tumultuous, always fighting, always bickering, and then falling madly in love with each other over again. Out in Paris, they stay at the Ritz-Carlton, go out for a night of drinking, very, very heavy drinking, and Olive Thomas comes back home to the hotel with a massive headache. Jack Pickford says, hey, just take some aspirin, just take some migraine relief. She goes for one of the bottles of migraine. However, right next to the bottles of migraine was a bottle of mercury bichloride, which was the medicine that Jack Pickford was taking. That medicine was for syphilis. Jack Pickford suffered from syphilis. And mercury bichloride was served in the same looking bottle as aspirin. However, mercury bichloриde's amount is much less than aspirin. And Olive Thomas took the wrong bottle. She ended up dying a few days later, tragically, due to poisoning. It was a huge loss for the world of theater. zoom back to the late 1990s. Olive Thomas's apparition is seen in the theater, and no one knows quite sure why. But one through line through all these sightings, there's a lot of people walking through here. That's why people don't like Times Square. Sometimes people just walk straight into you. Of all these sightings, she only appeared in front of men. So they did one thing. They put up photos of Olive Thomas all around the theater, and everyone greeted her good morning, and everyone said goodbye to her at night. Also, Disney Theater Company, apparently, according to two videos that they made on YouTube, has said that they only hire female security guards. And ever since then, much less hauntings have been seen. So if you ever go to the new Amsterdam Theater, see Aladdin, which is playing right now, or any other future Disney show, let me know if you ever seen Olive Thomas. Now for our next stop. We have to finagle our way through these massive crowds. Will we make it to the 30-minute mark? The time is ticking, but I'm optimistic. I think we will. Here's MTV. TRL used to be filmed right up here. Bright lights everywhere. And Times Square used to be lit bright ever since its beginning. New McDonald's is built right here where there used to be a Toys R Us, RIP Toys R Us. Here's the pedicab drivers, New York City taxi cabs, true marker of New York.
Yeah. All right, bye guys. See you later.
Now, despite the center of theater is called Broadway, only 4 theaters actually reside on the Broadway road itself. Most of the theaters are towards the other side streets. Broadway is the only major street that runs north-south of the island of Manhattan. The reason for that is it predates the grid system and predates British colonization. Also predates Dutch colonization, when this used to be New Amsterdam. Broadway was the original trails for the Lenape Native Americans, and the Dutch continued using it after that. So that is the greatest challenge of Times Square. Pro tip, if you want to come to Times Square when it's empty, usually before 9 a.m. Times Square is at its most emptiest. And right here, for our next stop, is right in the middle of 46th Street and Broadway are these subway grates. Wait a minute, why are we kind of looking at some random subway grates? Well, for that, we have to get a little bit closer up to them because there's a strange hum that has been ringing here ever since 1977. Let's take a closer look. I'll put my mic right close to it. So what is that strange hum that's playing? Well, back in 1977, the sound artist Max Neuhaus installed these subway grates. They're not real. And no, it's not Cthulhu humming from below about to escape from New York City out of the movie Cloverfield. Actually, it's just a sound installation. Installed by Max Neuhaus, 1977, has been running here ever since. Strange hums, and it's a very kind of cheap synthesizer that has been placed here, and it's still run by the Dia Foundation, who runs Dia Bacon. So one more time. And now let's go to our final stop, which is right here, right before the TKTS booth. Is a statue, the only statue in dedication to a hero of Broadway, the father of Broadway, you can even call him. Or one of the fathers of Broadway, along with the ranks of Florence Ziegfeld, which we mentioned earlier at the New Amsterdam Theater. This is the man famous for the song, "Give My Regards to Broadway." Also for the song Yankee Doodle Dandy, which the film was based after his life, George M. Cohan. George M. Cohan was the most famous entertainer of Broadway in the early 1900s. Forever immortalized by the film Yankee Doodle Dandy, where John Cagney really precisely played George M. Cohan. And in this statue, he's forever immortalized. He lived from 1878 to 1942. George M. Cohan, and to everyone else who's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Give my regards to Broadway. Have a great day, and stay tuned for more videos of Times Square, where we'll learn more about theater and the origins of Broadway. Someone just turned 30 because of the balloons. Keep being awesome, and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Ariel with Urbanist. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more videos of exploring cities all around the world and its history, please subscribe and click that bell button for notifications. Also, if you want to support this channel and get access to exclusive videos, go to patreon.com/urbanist. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring.